Hello and welcome, listeners, to another episode of Tactical Awareness. We are back with another special episode interrupting Zeros to Heroes as we recount our time at Canada's sort of national level Infinity Tournament, Colder Than Carbonite, which happened February 2nd here in, Alberta, where Dan and Owen are located. I had to travel in, and results were interesting. So let's dive in and see how the boys are doing and give you a recap of this event, the Nationals for Canada for 2025 for Infinity. Oh God, that's how this is going to be today.
Useless piece of shit. You're walking. Go ahead. Explain yourself.
Tell us why. Tell us why, Dan. Tell us why you have to walk.
tell us why I failed at everything that is life.
Oh,
and
Dan.
Infinity.
Oh, Dan.
Start with Infinity. But go to the rest of it.
Do the rest of it later. Hey, everybody. This is the Colder Than Carbonite recap episode of Tactical Awareness. If you have been listening, you will know that in our previous episode, I think in our ITS, 16.5 episode, we mentioned we were going to Canada's national sort of Infinity Championship, Colder Than Carbonite 2025, which is a satellite event, which wins you a golden ticket to go to the Krug / Interplanetario this year, which is in August, I think, or September. And so we're going to tell you how it went. And obviously Dan has to go first, which is why we're talking to him this way.
Because I got last place.
It was, you didn't get last place. You came 6th overall.
Last enough.
So short story long, we can just bury the lead here. Is that we all came top 10. Dan brought Torchlight Brigades, I brought Corregidor, and Owen brought Hassassins. And we're going to go through in placement order. We got to play 5 games over 2 days. There's about 50 players. It was run by the illustrious Zenon and Matt, who are 2 fantastic Infinity community members in Edmonton, Alberta. I flew into Calgary the Friday night before the tournament. Immediately got in a car with Owen, Dan, and Owen's wife Michelle, and we drove three hours up to Edmonton, crashed out, and then just started playing Infinity for a whole weekend. It was a great time. I had a fantastic time. But yeah, Dan has to walk next time apparently because Dan didn't win the tournament.
Roll better.
Just roll better.
Look. I didn't have to play against the shittiest opponent in my first round.
I was gonna say we should just jump right in there, and we're gonna go through our games. We'll go Dan, myself, and then Owen. And Dan did have to play a complete fucking asshole in round 1 because the gods paired us up, and he had to play me. So it's funny because it automatically meant one of us was getting knocked out of the 3 of us in the beginning because somebody had to either win, lose, or draw.
You're both drawn.
We could have double lost.
And then we would have both knocked out. Exactly. Yeah. I couldn't show mercy because I didn't want to be knocked out.
The funniest thing is we'll get to this, but the roles that made me not get 3rd place in the end were basically the roles that you passed for you to beat me in our first game.
I know. So let's talk about what was the first game mission.
First mission we played Mind Wipe.
Sure did.
You had
break into some servers.
You had your nomads. I had my torchlight. First turn, I went up the board, killed some things, booped a button, knew which one I was going to try to kill, and just kind of hunkered down a little bit. And then laid some turrets as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then your first turn, your gator kind of walked up, blew some things away, laid some mines.
I feel like I heard some significant mine laying.
I bet pincer maneuver is what happened.
The mine dispenser came over by my super jump link team that kind of is my go all do all link team. He places 2 mines on either side, and then if I react to an ARO, both mines will go off. But everybody has to dodge all at once. Otherwise, someone's gonna get hit for free. And so he just pokes out and sees one of my link team, and I'm like, do I just eat it for free? Do I just die? Maybe? And I was debating how I'm like, I'll dodge with everybody. It's a -3, but everyone's like Fizz 11. And so it's like, I'll pass with a few and it'll be fine. And I failed with all 3, and then all 3 failed all their armor saves, and then
in one order, I killed like 100 points.
It was just like, boom. Okay, they're done. And then McMurrow ran up the side of the board and destroyed my other link team.
Yeah, he
And so I was
sacrificed
like-
himself assaulting the rest of your Link team guys that laid all
Right.
those turrets. I was just like, absolutely not.
So then I was like, oh shit, I'm super far behind. I bring in Jamie Arantes on the side, and I had a lucky crit adhesive launcher from my Moonraker and immobilized the Gator.
I fucking stuck in the Gator.
And then I come in on the side of the board. He needs a 2 to reset to dodge, and he makes it.
A crit 2.
He rolls. No, you rolled a 1.
Oh, I roll 1. That's right. Yeah,
It was insult to injury.
yeah.
So then I'm like, crap. And so then I just came around the corner and just kept on blasting. And I spent basically my entire turn. Luckily, I killed a Gator and I killed a bunch of stuff on that side of the board. And then it was kind of like, okay, now what? I don't know. We're kind of like in this spot. You move up, kill a few more things. Don't do too much. I had like 5 orders left because you killed most of my army.
Yeah.
But then I had the double lieutenant order with the Raven Eye and with the NCO of Jamie. So it was like I had enough orders to clear one side of the board. Got a little lucky maybe, and it was like cool, great. And then you came up, just advanced, killed a few more things. I had like 4 orders total, and I had dropped a Vitapack. Got one of the guys that got killed by the Mind Pincer, who was an engineer, and then he just super jumped his way, dodge, boom, laid a decharge on the server and blew it up. And I was like, holy crap,
Yeah.
I did the objective.
Yeah. You got the primary too. You found the AI first roll, and then you managed to make that run and fucking blow it up with like your last order on turn
Well,
3.
it was the AI was on the side of the board where I could do something with it, kind of thing. And then my last order, I walked my last remaining Psycop up and lay down two templates on your last remaining hacker who could have done the objective. No one else could have done the objective in your entire list that was available. No other hacker could have picked it up. And it was 2 dice on 13s, and you made both saves. And if you failed either, you could maybe get them back up, but you probably don't have the orders to kill both servers, and it ends in like a tie or something. But then you just made both saves, and then you just got up, killed what my little defenses were, and then got me.
Yeah, Jazz and the Link team went and blew everything up with their mind bullets.
And then you won like 6-4 or something like that?
I was 4-7 at the end of the game.
There it is.
And yeah, you had to sacrifice basically everything, keeping that Link team from moving forwards. I get 37 VPs and I had 138 at the end of it. So you took a real kicking in round 1 after the Gator woke up, and McBurrow was just like, well, I'm gonna die, but I'm gonna kill everything that could possibly hurt me on the way out there. Well, Seamus really carried it. Seamus was the one that Seamus and the Raven Eye with double order was like, it doesn't matter who else has died, as long as the 2 of us are still alive, we can make a turn of this.
But also when McMurder came in and like did a berserk move, and I'm like, I'll hit you like 4 times with like nanopulsers and a mine and other things, and you're just like tank. And so I was like, oh no, he didn't even take a wound.
Yeah. The nanopulsers, having armor against the nanopulsers now is significant because it's
DTS 3 was huge. So yeah, went a little more detailed because it was both of us playing. But it was. I can't believe I got any points in that game.
It was a close game
after the first turn of both of us going, of how far behind I was. Like it was actually a close game. You just got to never give up. And I had some even more close games in which I was able to pull out a win and overall as well.
Yeah, we should mention what was in your list, because your list was the big thing was Seamus as the hitting piece, and your alternate list was double
Seamus.
Wrecker. Yeah, because
is that because you don't want to say Samus? Is that the reason? It is Samus.
I thought it was pronounced Seamus.
No, Seamus Aran.
Yeah, sure.
The fuck? What are you Irish?
Metroid? Yeah.
Yeah, the Super Metroid.
Look,
starring Seamus Aran.
He's old. Just give it to him.
It's actually just a potato with teeth.
Owen's spicy tonight. He's been painting Combined Army. So yeah, but you had 2 lists, and one was like tag heavy with double wreckers, right? And then
it was like a double wrecker list, which was just kind of, there's no tricks to it. I just kind of have a 4 dice AP heavy rocket launcher +1 damage. Just kind of, no one wants to get hit with that unless you have immunity arm. It was just a fun little list. But then I was like, I'm playing Nomads. They're gonna hack my guys to death probably. So no, I can't play that. So I'll play the other one. It was
the Link team with the engineers that had the
I had two Harrises basically, like a core and a Harris, and so then I had a Nimrod that has MSV2 AP Marksman, and a Kludger Doctor, and a Kludger Engineer. The Engineer has a Disco Ball, so they can kind of move up. They all have Super Jump, and so they're just really mobile, fast. They can kind of do everything. The Doctor has an adhesive launcher rifle and a med kit, and then the other one has a Panzerfaust, a machine gun, D charges. And the other one has AP Marksman, EM Carbine. It's just a really, really fun Harris that kind of does everything.
Yeah, that was the one that I killed with the Gator, right?
Yeah, that was very sad.
I was gonna say it was the one that like it's supposed to do everything, and then on turn one, I was just like, I absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with this.
Like if just one of them made their dodge, it would have been like so much better. But they all just died on the ground.
Well,
Luckily, they're all immune.
Also, one also got shot to death by the Gator himself.
Yes,
while he was dodging.
Surprisingly, two of their corpses remained because they're all.
And one came back to life. That's right. Yeah, because I didn't finish him off. Yeah. They passed one, failed one on the mines, didn't they? And they're all shock immune. And they're all shock
immunity. Shock was awesome. It turns out like everything is immunity shock images in my list.
And also, was it also immunity shock, or was it that the mine dispenser mines don't have shock?
No, they do. It has immunity shock.
Yeah. We double checked.
They're
all
just
have
mines.
They all have immunity
I thought so
shock.
too, because it wasn't on the printout. So I was like, huh.
The Cyclops, the other trio is two Cyclops. They have Thunderbolt turrets, which are just fun because you kind of place them out as you move up. Go ahead.
Just as a note, there's no ammo on mine dispenser mines.
Huh?
Okay.
Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
What do you mean there's no ammo? Oh, there's no ammo type. So it's not shock.
Type. Yeah, that's why I was looking at it. I was like,
it's not shock. It was irrelevant that I had shock, but we
does it say what kind of mine dispenser do you have?
Just a mine dispenser.
No, they all have a type.
Double shot, speculative. Oh, no, it says mine dispenser.
Right, but under the actual gun, like it'll have brackets on the profile.
Maybe I'm just not seeing it because it's on the
mine dispenser bracket shock on the profile, or mine dispenser bracket para, or mine dispenser.
While you guys look that up,
anything on here, so that's anyway. Go on.
The other trio is two Cyclops. There's a 30-point variant. They have MSV1 and Mimetism and a multi-marksman rifle and a nanopulsar +1 burst and an armed turret Thunderbolt. They're steal of a deal. They're only armor 1, but they are BTS 6. And it's just kind of they're good at fighting everything. If they ever fail a face-to-face, they die horrifically. But with immunity shock, you might be able to bring them back.
Yeah.
And then they also had a Kludger Engineer with them, which gave them a Disco Baller to get them into trouble if they needed to advance up. But also, they're also all three of those are specialists.
Yeah.
And then you have Jamie Rover, the Samus, which I actually printed and painted off a little like a
little actual Netrunner. Yeah, actual Netrunner, because the model wasn't out yet. So you're just like, let's just take this.
So that was fun to do. Then Raven Eye +1 order, which Jamie can use with NCO. Then an Evo Hacker, mostly so that I can give Jamie 12 BTS with Fairy Fire, Fairy Dust, Heavy Infantry.
4-9 is crazy. She's so good for like just survival.
Oh, I'll tell you, but when we get to the last game, she survived like 30 hacking attempts against her.
So
unscratched. It was insane.
That's amazing.
Then I had two Moonrakers, because they're just super solid. Both as an assassination piece. If the opportunity doesn't come up to use them in ARO, then they're forward deploying +8 with Mimetism 3 and the one use camo. And they just run up with their heavy shotgun and they're like, hey, I have a heavy shotgun and surprise attack and mimetism, and I'm reading over cover. I'm around a corner. I'm in cover. You're not in cover. No one wants to get hit by PS5 AP.
No, it stuck my Gator.
But also the adhesive launcher rifle, where when you catch an important piece out in the open because they think it's a mine or something, which they also have mine layer, then you just throw an adhesive launcher at them. You're like, I'm hitting on 14s. Good luck. I'm in cover and I have mimetism, so it's like legit. And I stuck a lot of people with these AP launchers. They're super amazing as ARO pieces, actually. Then I just have attack aware, a flashball spot, or not flashballs, the forward observer bot, a flashball spot, a war core, and that was my list.
Sweet. So you went through round 1. You got it out of the way, so you got the loss out of the way, and then you won 4 games after that. So the rest of day 1, your next game was against Ruined Reaper 789. How'd that game go?
They're playing Hassassins. I played on the big Rumble Bowl table or whatever, the big stadium table.
Yeah. The Aristeo table that you and I both played on.
He wasn't a newer player, but he was a very casual player.
Right.
And so I was teaching him the game, half the game. It was a very fun game, like back and forth. And I won 10-0. It was just
10-2.
kind of like 10-2?
10-2. Yeah,
Oh,
it
that's
was
right.
10-2, 163 to 65.
Yeah, I made some crazier plays that make the game a little more interesting at the end. And then he made some really good rolls near the end as well, which made it more even, which was nice. It was just
What
kind of
was
like
the
it felt better.
what was the mission?
The mission
I think it was supremacy. Yeah.
Supremacy. So it was I was only unable to not punch one box, but it turns out you only need to punch 3 boxes if you control everything all the time, which was nice.
Yeah, because it's 6 on the table for holding the zones, 3 for punching boxes, and I think it's 1 classified. Yeah.
Yeah. So got that. It was like he had some of the new guys. He had the AR which is like super solid piece. He came around surprise attack. Jamie.
What list did you took? That you took the Jamie list, yeah.
Yeah. It's just a solid list. And so he's probably like Jamie, and I'm like, I'm BTS 9 and you're viral. Who cares? And then I rolled all of the high numbers
and still died.
I just instantly died in one attack. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
I died from hubris. Oh, my only weakness.
I like to roll 18 plus. So that was that. Super genial guy. I had a lot of fun playing against him. But it was something like he had an Evo hacker bot, and I'm like, where is he? And he's like, he's there. I'm like, you need to be on a 55 millimeter base. He's like, I thought they were all the same base. And I was like, here's a little 55 mil token that you can just put them on, just so we're playing properly. So it was just kind of one of those very casual, but fun to play against, but not a super competitive game.
Right.
Move on to game 3.
Okay.
Playing against Morats.
Znork is this guy's name.
Yeah, he just came off a loss off of Owen, I do believe.
Right.
And
this one was close. This was actually the closest game of the whole tournament.
You have no idea. His first turn, he comes in. He's a little silly. I get an adhesive launcher off of one of his guys, which is fun. He brings in a speedball and gets him up, but at least the speedball's gone. And then he's kind of coming in. He's making some silly decisions, but he kills a bunch of my dudes and is kind of like in my deployment zone, like hanging around my Cyclops with like templates. And I'm like, crap. It's like, I don't want to get hit by templates with Cyclops. I'm armor 1. It's like, dang it. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But then he has all of his like link team super clumped, and I'm like, I have a plasma rifle with Jamie Arantes, and I can come from the side of the board. In which I immediately came in from the side of the board. I grabbed a Vita Pack so I could have an extra wound, turned on the corner, failed one face-to-face against a heavy rocket launcher, which ideally was not the best face-to-face. There was another way I figured out how I could have done it, just spending 2 more orders to get I could have got a disco baller on it and then killed everyone else. But anyways, I fail. And then it was like, oh, it's a 10 plus armor save. Fail, go to dead. Don't even get to use my Vita Pack. And then I was like, oh, cool. And then my other Nimrod, my super jump team, moves up, makes a shot, gets a cool angle. I had advantageous dice. I think I just rolled horribly. He didn't crit or anything, but I fail. He burns to death as well. And I'm like, oh, I have lost everything.
That's a Suryat. For those of you listening, that's a Suryat heavy rocket launcher. That thing's a nightmare.
Turns out he is pretty good. He's a
solid piece. He's really aggressively priced too. He's like, I think he's AP immune. I think all the Suryats are AP immune.
I found that out after. He's like, I told you. I was like, I forgot.
Yeah, they're armor 4 AP immune, and he's got MSV 1 too, and a tin bot. He's like 36 points, and is a friggin' nightmare to like lock down his zone.
It didn't matter what his defensive stats were because I never hit him once the entire game. Not a one time. Yeah. So then going into the second turn, he just kind of comes up, kills a few more of my dudes. I'm mostly kind of hunkered down, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I'm pretty much written off the game at this point, but I was like, we'll see what I can do or whatever. I have my super jump team's like prone on some like little bridge on the side, so it's hard for anyone to see them. And I had some mines and the other guys.
And this is frontline too, isn't it? So the whole thing comes down to the end of the game.
Exactly. Oh yeah, even better. I roll up with my Moonraker and then come around to his lieutenant, which is what's the famous lieutenant for Moras everyone takes with the lieutenant plus Cornac. Yeah, so Cornac's there. I go around, face everybody. I go around. I was surprised attack and mimetism. He's hitting on like 6s or something, and I'm hitting on like 14s. And I crit him and I hit him, and he counter crits me. I'm like, oh my goodness! It's like, and then I'm like, of course, I just explode because everyone can see me. But it was like I got so hopeful. I was like, okay, the turn from hell, my first turn, something is going to happen. I got 3 AP, PS5s against his lieutenant. He's probably going to go down and maybe even fully die, which is awesome. And then, nope, no damage whatsoever, and I die. So I was like, oh no.
Just locked
oh,
it
no.
off. Yeah.
So you asked, Dan, how did you win this game? And it was, we
well,
were
not only how did you win this game, because can I tell you what the score was? So if you guys haven't played Frontline before, Frontline is 4 classifieds, but then it's 3 for holding the far zone, which is the 8-inch strip outside the opponent's deployment zone, 3 for holding the center line 8-inch zone, and then 1 if you hold your home 8-inch zone. You only had 76 points left, and he had 192. So
Correct.
you somehow took enough of these zones and had less than half as many points remaining. So I am fascinated to know how this happened.
So he was aggressively going after all of his objectives. He got his 4 objectives. I held one back for a plus 18 points. And I was able to, because of O12 being super specialists everywhere, and all like these guys, all these cludgers being like veteran troops, I picked up enough ones that I was lucky enough that I got all of my 3 objectives.
So you got 3 of your classifieds, yeah.
So I got 3 classifieds, he got his 4 classifieds, and that was kind of what was going on. We weren't really fighting too much. There was a little exchange. And then he had his 1 crack got, I think, in my deployment, and he went after my Cludger instead of my Psycop that were in my deployment zones. And the Cludger died, but then the Psycop shot the crack got in the back and killed the crack got. The Psycop was 30 points. The Cludger was only 23. So if he killed the Psycop instead, I go into retreat and I probably can't win or do anything. Because the Psycop was there and I was able to grab my last objective, get into my zone from my deployment, just kind of crawl around. Also the turrets, I placed out a couple turrets and they were like heroes. They wasted like 6 of his orders. So that helped a lot. But basically there's he left too many of his guys in his deployment and then super got greedy taking the middle because that's where the rest of my live dudes were. Well, just the other 2 Cludgers. So then what I did was I my last turn, I was going last. I crawled across this thing into his zone. He actually could see me with one of his models. He shot me and hit me, and I made my armor save, super luckily. And I got both into his zone. And then we're calculating at the end, and somehow I took his zone because he took everything out. I was like, I got 1 card, I'll get your zone, I'll get my 3 points, I'll get 6 points, right? Because I got my 3 and 3. I won that zone. And then I was able to win by like 2 points with my Intellicom card on my zone to deny him his 3 points.
Yeah.
And so it was like oh my God, I just won somehow. Cool. And he was like, very well. And it was like both of us were super happy at the end. Like we both played really sloppily for whatever reason, but it was just like, it was the 3rd game of the day, but it was intense. But it was fun that I was like, I wrote the game off and I was just having fun and like, well, let's see what I can.
And
because
somehow,
if I can get the 5 points at least, then I get more tournament points for like, at the end of it. So that all I was trying to do was get the 5 points, and somehow I got the 7.
I think if you, this is a lesson. If you play Frontline in a tournament and you get a high card in those classifieds, just take it. Because it can potentially be worth 3 points instead of 1. Like, just use the Intellicom, I think, every time.
Yeah, because if he kept any Intellicom, like a 5-point Intellicom, he just wins.
Yeah. And he didn't keep any because he got all 4 of his classifieds, didn't he? Because he got 4 and then he got 2. Yeah. He's got the middle zone. That's wild. So we're going into day 2 then. We were all exhausted. We all went back to the Airbnb, hammered some Chinese food. Everyone was super sleepy. And then the next day rolled around, and your first game was against Symbiote, and you played that one. What was that mission?
This one was unmasking.
Yes, kill the secret 3 HVTs.
So I played against JSA, the newer JSA,
which would be Shinden Butte.
Yeah, so she had 2 of the like line troops that have like BS Tech -3 on a rooftop looking down at one of my tags. And it was a weird board where on that rooftop you could see like 80% of my deployment zone.
No, crazy.
Classic.
Because like everything was there, but it was like if you're on ground floor, it was fine. But on that one rooftop, you're kind of stuck up there. There was like no way to get up or down. But if you're on there, you just kind of see everything. There was like one maybe like 40% of my deployment, but you couldn't leave it unless you did a cautious move. But half my guys are Rems. I brought my double tag list this time. So I'm like, I can't go anywhere except if I face these guys. So I'm like, so I was like, okay, well, I get lots of dice, so let's just attack them. So first 2 orders, I lose 2 wounds on my 1 wrecker. And I'm like, uh-oh.
Time to switch to Wrecker 2.
Yeah, exactly. I just swapped them.
Good thing I brought 2 of these.
Wrecker 2 walks up, and luckily I was able to go back and slice the pie, so I just fight one at a time. And then the dice would just started going my way. It was just like, hey, I have a heavy rocket launcher AP. Kablam! Evaporate. Kablam!
What if I killed all of you with this?
Yeah, they were spread out that they couldn't get them in one shot.
Right,
but
yeah.
It was like, okay, that's cleared. Now I can start moving up the board. And then he has like a Mim 6 everywhere, and I'm kind of going around I'm like, well, and then he has like the Katakuri. Those are the 3
Katakuri, yeah, the total reaction, 3 structure,
total immune
infantry, yep.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what's great against total immune? Plasma. So Jamie comes in from the side of the board. Because Jamie's always the solution, apparently, in Torchlight. So she comes in and just obliterates everything.
All the Karakuris.
It was just like, I think he only had the 1 Karakuri. Kill the Karakuri, kill this other Mim 6 guy. There was 1 like ninja, I think, with a heavy rocket launcher on top of one of the parapets.
Raiden, yeah.
Raiden that could see everything as well, so that was giving me a headache and a half. But it was kind of like, okay, that's fine. But it was just like a super solid, I killed a lot.
Yeah.
And then they had their turn, and they kind of moved up, didn't do a whole lot. And I didn't lose any models. And I was like, oh, okay, well, now I have even more orders. And then I just I had my little Moonraker run up in camo. He failed 1 discover check, ran up, got to that Raiden, and was just like, surprise attack, a heavy shotgun. And blew him up real good. It was great. And then after that, Samus was free to move around again, and my wreckers, and we just kind of systematically killed everything. Purposely had to stop killing to not put him in retreat. And then last turn was able to just, with a few orders, clean up the objectives. And so I ended up winning without losing a model, which was really rare.
Yeah.
It was just kind of one of those, oh, okay, everything just went for me. And it wasn't so much that I rolled super well, but they rolled quite poorly, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was the dice just kind of went my way. And I played well and did optimal things, but then
you had
everything...
to, masking. Like, you had to get all 3 of the HVTs and push all 3 buttons.
Right? But it was just kind of every little thing where it was like, I have like a 6% chance to kill you. I kill you. It's like, I have like a 70% chance to hit. And it's everything went my way. And so it was a little dicey, really one-sided game, but it was still fun.
Yeah.
And there's still some like close, tense moments where I'm like, I don't know how to get out of this.
We almost lost your wrecker, and you're like, oh, but I brought 2 of these.
It's okay.
Convenient.
I got 6 moves.
If you just bring 2 tags, then everything's fine, as Owen proved last year. I like how you took Owen's list from last year, where if you just bring 2 tags, everything works out.
Yeah, but he brought little pansy tags.
Listen, they're only 51 points. This so little.
Yeah, bring 4 of those. Then talk to me about it.
Bring 5 of those. That's when it gets serious.
Then my last game,
match. Yeah,
by far the best game, like back and forth. It was like super tense, well played both sides. It was a guy from Saskatchewan, and he was helping out.
Saskatchewan, for those of you in
Saskatoon.
Other places. No, I'm just kidding. Saskatchewan. It's a movie reference, Dan.
Saskatoon is in Saskatchewan.
You're embarrassing yourself. Just stop.
Beautiful Canadian names. Anyways, Nomads again. Bakunin?
Bakunin. Yes, I also played a murder anno.
Yeah, and I was like, dang it. So I was like, okay. So I'm like, I can't.
There's a salamander.
I'm like, I'm not bringing my double tag. Because
the salamander will eat them. Yeah, the salamander just eat them.
So we're just going back. And so who got first turn? I think.
And this mission was.
He got first turn. This was supplies.
Supplies.
Was it supplies?
Yeah, it was supplies. Yeah, it was supplies. It was basic missions for the last game. This is a really good note for tournament organizers. Make a simple mission the last mission of each day.
It was nice.
It's such a better way to play, and you have less stressed out players when the event's over.
It was, and yeah, I was surprisingly awake and alert for like the 5th round. I usually just completely collapse at that point of the game, but for whatever reason, maybe it was just invigorated by
winning.
Not losing a model my last game.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm invincible. Either way, he got first turn. I mostly null deployed, and my flash pulse, my war core, my flash pulse spot, and the two moonrakers did so much work in arrow. Where he was just like, I'm not going to bother shooting at you because you're so far away. And I'm like, I roll a 3 and I hit you, and I roll a 2 and I hit you, and I flash pulsed his lizard, and he had to like engineer it back, and it was just all this stuff back and forth, which just things were not working for him. And then like he comes out with his Cenobites, and I'm like, you're in the open, you're Mim 6, but you're in the open. Adhesive launcher, and I get him, I crit him, and he gets stuck, and then he's trying to dodge, and he just stays stuck the entire game. I eventually kill him, and then he's unconscious and immobilized. He Vita packs him up, and then he gets back up, and he's still immobilized, and he's trying to dodge with him, but it's not working, and he just leaves him behind. And I'm like, oh, he ate so many orders. It's like, yes, these Moonrakers are amazing. But it was back and forth. Oh yeah, the main story is my first turn. I fairy dust heavy infantry, and then was it Uhahu is like the cool hacker?
Certainly one of them.
Yeah. Anyway, so she's
It's
behind
not
the building.
Oahu. No. In
No. There's a character. There's a character hacker.
Bakunin gets Uhahu.
Bakunin gets Oahu. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
who he's playing against.
Yeah.
Got it.
So it's Uhahu. I come in hacking range of her, and I come in with a decoy, and hack the wrong decoy. I'm like, yeah, it worked. It came into play. Parachute decoy, so fun. So I'm like, okay. So then I like walk up, and I'm like, okay, well, I got 2 NC orders, but let's just use regular orders. And then when I get isolated, which will inevitably happen, then I'll use my NCO orders and see what happens. So I'll go up and just start picking a fight. I was able to shoot a fast panda.
Yes.
Or with my plasma rifle and hit a corpse on the ground and hit his tag. I had 3 shots hitting on like 16s. I missed one of them, so the lizard only took 4 saves. But has like lots of armor and whatever, so he's just rolling like 16s and like 18s to fail or whatever. So he loses a wound immediately, great, and then I don't get hacked. He just failed to hack, or I pass on a 12 on the isolate, the Oblivion, because of BTS 9 halved +3 is really good. Plus he gets the minus, so he was missing a bunch actually with his. But I stupidly walked within 8 inches of the lizard, and so his 3 other hackers or 2 other hackers all hack me at the same time. And they all hack me, but I'm like, Carbonite. I'm like, I rolled a 19. He's like, I got you. I'm like, no, I pass. 12 plus 7 is 19. And he's like, oh my God, I should have done that math beforehand. No. So I was like, I'm invincible. And so luckily I poked out and poked back, so I wasn't in the anyways. So I spend like 5-6 more orders, and Oahu's just desperately trying to hack me, just like, why isn't it stopping? Why? No, it's not working. And I kill the lizard, and then retreat back to my little corner. And I was still trying to hack me the entire time, never succeeds once. I passed everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Then they come up and heavy flamethrower me to death because I failed my dodge. But anyways, the game continues. I stupidly walk my forward observer bot into a repeater and get isolated. But it doesn't get shot at, even though I'm standing right in the open because I kind of obliterated the one side. So my second last turn with the 2 orders, because it's tack aware forward observer, I'm isolated, but I still walk up to the one box, open it, and then run away behind a wall. So even though I'm isolated, I'm able to get that and get out. So it's like, great, I have a box. Goes into his last turn. I have a couple turrets out looking at one of the boxes, and he's got 1 turn. He's got still 10 orders, because it's just kind of, we're dancing around each other. He white noises, murders my Cyclops that are watching the one box, goes and grabs it. No, he fails to get that box. He failed 2 rolls, and then this other guy on the other side grabs the box and runs out. And then I have 4 orders left on my last turn, and I'm like, well, it's the same Nimrod Kludger team. The doctor got obliterated earlier, and they super jump up and around. I have to shoot the guy that's still immobilized with the Cenobite with the heavy rocket launcher, because I'm like, if he dodges out, and things are going to go real bad, and I can't win. So I shoot him. Manage to kill him, and then I walk up, and because of the haste, because we were way over time, his guys were kind of facing just the wrong way. So I was able to super jump, go around the long way, and get him in the back. So I shoot him dead. His other Cenobite turns around, and the QAZ creature's right there. I have 2 orders left, and so I walk up with both in the range and shoot the Cenobite and the QAZ creature at the same time. He reacts everything onto my Nimrod, so my Kludger, who's right there, is fine, but he chain rifles and hits both of them. I fail both saves, saving on 9s, I think. And if I pass with the Kludger, or if he could have chosen to attack, like with the QAZ creature to the Kludger as well. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like a Hail Mary. But if either of them survive, because I was able to win the face to face and just walk up and grab the box, then I get enough points to become in 2nd or 3rd overall.
Yeah. You needed, but I failed. Basically, you needed 1 more point. If you'd gotten 1 more point, you would have been 2nd.
Yeah.
Or third, sorry.
I won 4-0. If the Kludger was able to survive, then he would have been able to walk up and do an objective and grab the box, and so I would have gotten to like 7 points. It was 7, but it was 4-0 at the end. Super tight game, super awesome down to the last dice roll. So that was a lot of fun.
Nice, good job, man.
So I got 6 overall, which is by far the best I've done. I think the best I've done otherwise was like 12th place or something. But out of 47 people, pretty respectable.
Yeah, man.
Even though you guys are making me walk.
We made, well, I mean, I think you did fantastic. You also did, like, you rallied after losing first round to an asshole. So like, I think that's fantastic. Like, it's hard to lose an event, like lose the first game of an event and not feel like kind of out of it. You know what I mean? And you came back and won the next 4 games, and you had like a couple of close games too, which is really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'll go second. I showed up in Calgary with I took the humiliation flight where like you paid like $100 for your ticket. So they stick you in the back of the plane, like shoved against a window, and you only get to carry like a single tiny bag. So I did not bring a lot of models, which means I ran 1 list. I ran my classic, no frills, all killer, no filler, like all comers sort of list for Corregidor. And I did it because 1, I didn't have the space for a lot of miniatures, but 2, I didn't want to read what the scenarios were. I didn't really care. I just wanted to play 5 games of Infinity. So I took I took 2 combat groups. I had an 8 order group and a 5 order group. The 6 order group sort of because McMurrow was in there, but the 8 order group had a Gator. And it's more kind of than 8 orders because he's got TAC aware and NCO, so he gets to run the lieutenant order as well. Wildcat Engineer, a duo with him. Reactions on with that Thunderbolt +1 burst. I saw so many of those over the course of the event. That Thunderbolt total reaction bot, because there's no SWC, is like wildly popular. I took a Vertigo missile launcher, which people didn't seem to really expect, but there's lots of opportunities to throw it targeted in this list, so I did anyway because I like it. And then Moran Repeater boarding shotgun for some infiltrating repeater net. Salute Evo hacker so that I could do the Evo hacking, like put and have baggage for my various crazy koalas, because the Morans have mine layer crazy koalas. And the Gator has a mine dispenser, so I needed that aura of being able to reload during the states phase. And then a flash pulse bot for another piece of repeater net, and a nice stand-up arrow piece for 7 points. Group 2 is McMurrow, because if you can take McMurrow, you take McMurrow. 27 points to get you there and kill you. I took the Brigada Lieutenant, who has a tin bot firewall -6, which is very important for later, and now has a +1 burst boarding pistol as well. He's a very cool piece, and he's a great turn 3. Everyone else is dead, and I've been hiding the whole game. Go get stuff done piece. I love having a lieutenant that, like, in the final turn, 1, he can survive assassination, right? Because he's a heavy infantry, fight piece. But 2, he can get up at the end of the game and go get work done because he's got that extra order, and he's really survivable for 33 points. I got Jazz FTO with her hacker number 2 and her does everything hacking device, because she's got a hacking device plus with upgrade Trinity. I think it's -1 SR. And then FO for FO Aguasil, Dactari Doctor, and they form the 2 of them are together because they're actually counting as fire team members, and that way Jazz can fire her pitcher with a special dice if she wants to. That's really the only reason why the Aguasil is there. And then I got another transductor for 7 points, and that's a full 300 points and 5 SWC. Does what it does, solves problems with guns and mines. I can hack, but I really only have 2 hitting pieces between McMurrow and the Gator to get things done. The rest of it is about slowing you down and kind of playing reactively and making you come through a hacker net. So my game 1 was against a super nice guy who, through no fault of his own, ended up on a table. We didn't really mention the table during our first game. It was basically like a Fallout board. And so it was these raised highway sections, which means it looked really full, but when you got down on ground level, it was just these skinny little pillars blocking line of sight. So the Gator there was only a few places Dan could advance into to put his fire team. And at the end of the turn, to get them out of line of sight, they were hiding behind this like van. And one was kind of peeking out watching, the other 2 were behind it. We're playing, what was it? We're playing the kill the AI one, the servers one, Mind Wipe. And so I had a variety of pieces that could accomplish Mind Wipe. McMurrow specifically could do it. Jazz could do it if she needed to, and she got the Uber Hapker upgrade. We already kind of talked about how the game went, but it was a series of crazy events. And I honestly thought I had Dan like on the ropes after turn 1 when I killed both his teams.
You did?
I did, yeah. But between Jamie, but actually what it was that really allowed him to dominate was he got that lucky sticky off on the Gator at the end of my first turn. And I burned my last 2 orders trying to reset it off. I was trying to engineer it off. My engineer went
that's right, you failed.
And I failed. Like the engineer's right there. The Wildcat's just like got one job and he's like, oh fuck, I guess I don't do this. And I have no reroll for that because he's not remote presence. And so yeah, it was a bad scene. So then when Jamie showed up, the Gator was stuck. I luckily made that roll because I did not take my original versions list has the Gator pilot in it. And I stopped taking it. So I was only, I think it was Fizz 11 to dodge and I was -9 because I was stuck. Yeah, I managed to make it. But then the problem was I was fighting for my life. I was standing on top of a bus or a shack or something like that. And I couldn't really go anywhere. So I had to like kind of dance around, and Jamie was just like template. Nothing else was watching it. So I was in the wind a little bit, and that made the game a lot closer. But as Dan described, it ended up being an end run for him, but Jazz not dying meant that the servers got blown up, and I managed to swing the game at the end by that. My second game was against Matt, ISS Collateral Compassion Division, playing, I think it was just Vanilla Ariadna. And I was coming off my high playing Dan. I wasn't really taking things too seriously. I forgot Vanilla Ariadna sure does have a whole lot of deployment zone drop troops. And that didn't go as badly as it could have. But Duro I survived fairly well against all of the surprise shooting. The Cataran didn't manage to land. Then we had Bruant advance up with I'm kind of forgetting who was in the list because it was a lot of proxies. It was a lot of like Highlanders and stuff like that proxying as other things. It was like Cosmoflot guys and stuff like that. But Vasily with his T2 Ohotnik didn't really land. And everybody, I gave him first turn because we're playing Supremacy, and I wanted the end of each round to try and dominate the zones. And even though I got kicked pretty bad, Durok showed up and did a bunch of damage. I eventually managed to kill him. I grabbed enough zones on turn 1 because he was so busy spending orders trying to kill my Gator and stuff that I managed to pull the 2 on round 1. Round 2, he pushed forward again with an Apache, and that thing was just I couldn't kill it. It pushed through my TR, it pushed through my flashes, it pushed through everything, and I landed a bunch of stuff on it, and it just didn't die, and it didn't die, and it didn't die. And by the end of round 2, I dealt with everybody but the Apache, and he was in melee with my lieutenant. I was desperately trying to not have a lost lieutenant turn, but I dodged out. And I had the choice. He was still in melee with another guy with a Daktari Doctor. And I was like, I could just walk over to the zone and score 2 points. But I was like, well, I'll spend a point trying to kill this thing and save my doctor first. And it just didn't happen. Like, he made all of his saves. I think he crit dodged me or something like that. And I didn't have the orders left to then walk off my deployment zone and score those 2 points, and I tied him instead. And that would have swung the game for me. That would have been the thing that because he got 1 and I got 1, and that means he would have gotten 0. So he'd have been at 4, and I would have been at 4 at the end of the game. We would have tied. And then round 3, the Apache finished off a couple of my models, and I just didn't have any left. I think I had 2 models left at the end of the game. I think it was who was left at the end of the game? I think it was just my lieutenant and the forward observer, and like that was it. Everybody else was dead. So I lost that game 5-3. But because
No,
I had
you're free.
Sorry,
no more expectations.
that's it. Yeah,
You
it was.
took the L.
That's it. I took the L, and it was. But because I was within 2 points for the loss, I scored a point, which
Right.
became important at the end. Right. So I didn't get
Yep.
0 on my game. I got to 3. He got to 5, so he did get the major. But I was within a threshold of 2 points by the end of the game, so I scored a tournament point. And it was 27-109 at the end of the game. So we both kicked each other's teeth in, but like I couldn't kill that Apache, and it ended up wasting enough orders that he got the win on me. And there's a real TSN turning point where I just had a choice and I made a bad decision. Tumu was my third game of that first day, and Tumu was playing Tunguska. No, Tunguska? Yeah, Tunguska, because it was the salamander.
Remotes, right?
It was the salamander. Yeah, the salamander and the remotes. It was a lot. This was a really fun game. I really liked him. We were playing on a table that it had these big pawns in it, and all the tables, I don't think we mentioned this, but a lot of the tables had special rules. Like the table Dan played on, that was the Aristea table, had some special rules. I played on that one too later on.
God, I wanted to play on that table.
I know you did, because it's just a big open middle.
I'm like, it's just big field. This is great.
Big field. This is fantastic, and it's hard to hit. Fantastic. But he was playing with a Salamandra. He had a Harris team with a FO bot and some Hollow Men in it. He had like all the usuals, like a Denma, and I think he had another Harris, or maybe it was a duo with like Denma and some Zellenkriegers and stuff to push up with. He took the triple threat. This was a real like I knew what this could do, because it was a triple threat of authorized bounty hunters, and he also had the Zoonautica. So it was a really fun list. Big tag, lots of motorcycles, some cool hitting pieces. He had an engineer, he had a clockmaker to fix his tag up with some Zon bots, and then a couple of neat fire teams. I gave him first turn. I actually went second, I think, every game. There wasn't a single game that I went second on, but I kept choosing deployment because I wanted sides more.
I went second every game because I lost that roll every time.
Well, I won the roll and chose deployment, and then they was just give me second, even though I wanted to go second, which was interesting. Getting to go second in Supremacy and Frontline surprised me, because I thought at a tournament, especially when I got to the higher tables, people would want to go second in those games, because like that's you win the game in those zone control missions, especially the scoring's under round or end of turn by going second.
I learned that lesson 2 years ago.
I know you did. I taught you that lesson. So the game was great. We had a lot of fun. There were some special rules for these pawns on the table that were zones. And they were basically a difficult terrain zone that if you were in it, you were always -3. You were in a low vis because you're in the water. But if you went prone, you went to 0 vis, like you're in a smoke cloud because you're underwater. And so my two Morans snuck into them during deployment, and they just went prone and were like down there being repeaters, which was super annoying. And so I got a really good first turn as he impetuous all of his motorcycles up and his Nautica, and my Vertigo, who I use as a stand-up arrow piece, just shot them all to death. He was like, you can't possibly hit all 3 of them. And then I proceeded to hit all 3 of them with my missile launcher and blow them all to pieces. But a single one of them got up and behind a wall where the missile bot couldn't see him anymore. And I think the Salamander took it down at the third order of the first turn. And then he proceeded to because he's moving through so many difficult terrain zones. There was these shrubs and these walls of trees that were all a saturation zone if you shot side to side of them. So he spent all these orders moving just side to side the zones, right? Because just to go into the zones like a whole order and then to come out of the zones a whole order.
That also sounds like a great table. I would.
It was a super fun table. It was a really super fun table. But he drove this motorcycle into the pond to get into melee with my Moran, and then proceeded to spend 13 consecutive orders over the next 2 turns, not killing it in melee, as my Moran just rolled around underwater while he tried to drive over it with a motorcycle. And then Jazz just threw out arrow isolates and oblivions on the Salamander who got caught inside the zone. It was a really fun game. The Hollow Men did a really good job pushing forward and stuff like that, but I managed to eventually take them down through a combination of again a repeater that was nearby, isolating them, and then just gunfighting them down with the Gator. The Gator and the Salamander went toe-to-toe for 3 complete turns. And this is us playing, it was Supremacy. What was round 3? It was Frontline. Yeah, it was Frontline at the end of the game. So it was all zone holding. And we both had Speedball, Gizmo kits. I think I did 12 wounds to that Salamander over the course of the game, and he kept fixing it with the Clockmaker. And then eventually on round 3, I got it down and then just proceeded to continuously pump orders into it until it was just in pieces. I was like, I can't let this thing come back again. And when the salamander went down, that meant the gator could just push its points in any zone. And I ended up taking all 3 zones at the end of the game. And I didn't get what is it? I didn't get. I got the zones and I got 1 classified, I think. And we were on each other's. He managed to get a piece onto my HVT, so he got the points for HVT and won the classified. So he got secure HVT and a classified. I got all 3 zones and I got a classified as well, and it was 2-7 at the end of the game. He had 72 points left. I had 199, but I barely like my I had no engineer left, and my gator was like on 1 wound and just like a smoking wreck of like just shot full with hyper rapid magnetic cannon shots. It was just Swiss cheese, but I managed to put him down before he put me down. Great game, great opponent. I had a lot of fun for my 3rd round. And then round 4, day 2, we came in fresh. I was feeling pretty good. You know what I mean? I'd kind of submarined, right? Because I lost my 2nd game, but I'd won 2 like with majors, so I was doing okay. I ended up on the table I wanted to play on, which was the crazy Aristea table that Dan had also played on the previous day. And it was the Aristea board. So it's just these 2 huge kind of stadium pieces facing each other. And then the Aristea board is these size 2 walls in a hexadome.
I like that table a lot. It's like
I like that
legitimately.
table a lot too.
I'm not trying to be ironic about oh, it'd be good mechanically. I like it because it ties in and like it has a theme.
Yeah. And well, once you get in the middle, because all of these size 2 walls are there, it's actually really hard to see the pieces that are in the scrum inside the hexadome. So it works, like you said, and you can't really get a tag in there. So you have all of these littler pieces having this kind of like close range, almost like paintball match inside the zone. And the special rule for the table was anyone shooting across, in, or within the dome is a flat -3 BS mod, but it applies regardless of visors or anything else because it's the lights of the dome. Like it's so bright in there that it's hard to like concentrate, and it's designed to like put you off balance. I was playing in Steel Phalanx. It was a pretty classic Steel Phalanx list. It was all the names, right? So Atalanta and Phoenix are both overwatching the board. Myrmidon Lieutenant. It's got Ajax on one side. It's got Thrasymedes with like a Thorakiti link. And this is Kinnanen's list. He did a great job. He did a great job overwatching the table, but I managed to sneak up my Morans. I completely forgot about I spent so many. I probably spent 20 orders in this game that I didn't have to spend because I completely forgot that white noise existed on Jazz, and I completely forgot you can put white noise through repeaters now. And I could have basically covered Atalanta at any time that I wanted to because my Moran was like right there next to her and could just dump one on her, or I could dump a white noise on my fire team and go push the buttons. The first 2 turns were me trying to figure out how I was going to deal with Phoenix and Atalanta. And I ended up brute forcing it. I ended up killing Phoenix by like slicing the pie on him with the gator and then walking all the way back around the other side of the stands. I committed and recommitted McMurrow twice, like running left up the stands because I was afraid he was going to have to fight Ajax. And then Ajax, I managed to picture him with Jazz and then isolate immobilize him. So he was just no longer a threat because he was resetting on 1s. And so the next turn, like Monroe was like, well, I guess I go over here now, and ran all the way back around the other side and spent the first 2 turns doing nothing. And then once the threat of like getting my teeth kicked in by Ajax was gone and Phoenix was dead, I walked over the gator and brute forced the issue with what's her name with Atalanta. I just got lucky. He forgot his speedball, so he didn't have it down at the time. And as soon as you get a shock round through, she just dies. So I think I took a wound and lost my gizmo kit for my speedball, but killed her. And then after that, it was just, well, I guess I just shoot mines into this hexadome and you can come through here. And turn 2, I managed to get 2 of the unmasks and push all 3 consoles. I think I got all 3 consoles, but I only killed 2 out of the 3, and I killed the main guy. And mine were all still alive at the end of the game. So the end of the game was 9-0. I had 218 left to 67. And it was a good game, but like I made it hard on myself just because I forgot that I could just cover out whenever I needed to. Hack and Device Plus is really important. It's a
remember
thing
that you have
always forget. Yep, you always because you use it so rarely. I just need to remember I have it from now on.
Silly goof.
Silly goof. And then round 3 was against Zukov. Super nice guy. Came up here from Seattle. I think he was our furthest traveler. It wasn't me. And he was playing Hassassins Baram. And it wasn't dissimilar to Owen's list, except he traded all of the suitcase bots, the Sonic bots, for what were they called? Owen, the guys with the flaming spears.
Oh, Shujays and Nadirs.
Shujays and Nadirs. Yeah, he had I think 5 of them total. He had like max AVA on all of them.
Yeah, I think you get 4. I think it's 2 and 2.
It's probably 2 and 2. Yeah, well, he had an AR. That's the 5th guy I'm thinking of. He had an AR.
There you go. And he's kind of the same guy.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
There's definitely a Panzerfaust. There might even be a Flammenspiel AR. I don't remember now.
Yeah. So I knew kind of what this was going to be going into it because I'd watched Owen play and we'd talked about his list a million times. I knew that if I went first, I was gonna have to deal with a bunch of stuff like revealing. And these are all hidden deploy. There's like 5 hidden deploy models. So I understood looking at the table that there just was simply not enough points to be on the table. So I was guessing maybe 1 or 2 ARs. I thought though, and he'd lined up his EM mines to look like Sonic butts. So I thought there was 2 Sonic butts, but it was actually 4 EM mines because the Shujays are EM mine layers.
EM mine layer 2.
Yeah,
they're even better than the regular.
Yeah. But the problem was I forgot to ask what the MIM on them was. Because if I'd asked and it wasn't MIM 0, I would have known they were mines.
Yep.
He played a great game.
That's what the Delamy are for.
Yeah, we're playing supplies. He played a great game, but he did choose to go first, and a couple things got revealed. So when the hidden deploy guys started showing up, and I realized they were mines, I sent stuff just to go clear them because like if McMurrow got isolated, which he eventually did, I just didn't care. I was like, whatever. He's still got 2 orders even when he's isolated. And he could just run around and start stabbing people. I shoved McMurrow into the middle. The Ayar tried to ambush on turn 1 the Gator, but the Gator slipped behind a wall. He landed one of his emitters, and I just passed the save, and they slipped behind a wall and was okay.
Can I also say the emitter is like, it's weird because the emitter is better than it used to be because it's burst 2 now.
Definitely. And with triangulated fire and surprise attack, I was at a huge neg. So
he uniquely is good. But what I mean to say is that there's a lot of guys who you would want to shoot with the emitter who are like incredibly resilient to getting hit by that EM.
Yep.
Like even like a BTS 6 in cover goes to like a 13 to pass, which 13 on 2 dice, you're probably going to fail one, but that's no guarantee. Like that's no, like at last I've got him. I hit him with my EM gun.
Well, you're 65 to pass both, right? Like you're 65% twice. So I think it's like a 50% chance you pass both.
Right. But that's by no means the like this is my anti-tag solution and it will work, right?
For sure. But if you're doing like a one shot, you know what I mean, like triangulated fire at me and you know you're not going to die from it, like it's worth a shot because I'm
just commenting on like an emitter in general, not that guy's emitter. His is particularly good because of the surprise. But I just mean like there's a lot of people that I see online and people I talk to in person where they talk about the emitters as like the tag solution. But if you're a BTS 6 or 9 tag, 50-50 maybe, and you have to beat the tag.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, you're MIM 6 and have an emitter. That's pretty cool. Anyway, this tag hits on 15s.
Well, and if you lose, you might eat a SR4 explosive round, right? Like,
right. And so if you hit him 50-50, he gets screwed up. If he hits you, you die.
Entirely possible you die. Yeah, 100%. Anyway, short story long, it didn't go off. I managed to slip behind a wall and not get immobilized. And if I had, my Wildcat was right there. Like there was a way for me to get rid of it if he didn't keep pumping rounds into me. And because he had the multi-rifle, I think it was a multi-marksman, right? He could have potentially killed me, but it would have taken a while.
He has an AP marksman if you brought that one. Wait, I don't know who we're talking about.
I think that's the one he took. It was the AP marksman. Because that's the one with the
No, that one has a zapper. It's just an AP rifle. Just regular ass AP rifle.
Sure, but I mean, even that, right? Because he can triangulated fire it at me, and like I'm just standing there and I'm just trying to reset. He can plink away at me eventually because I think my armor goes to what? It would be a 14 to pass. So if he just kept dumping orders in it, he could finish me off potentially.
But he didn't.
Nope. And then the game ended up being basically me pushing forward and him. Once he realized McMurrow was just going to walk through the Flammenspiels, he had to kind of. That was my solution. Was I was going to clear all these EM mines when I realized they were EM mines, and then eat all these Flammenspiels that I could because he won't die from them, right? Because he's immunity arm. So pushing ahead with him, I did get isolated and ended the turn kind of like looking at a bajillion guys, and that messed him up because McMurrow was standing in the open in the middle of like 2 of these Shujays and with the AR nearby and both of his baggage bots. So like kind of the squishy middle of his order pool was exposed to a chain rifle. And if he didn't kill me, I was going to disappear. So then the AR on his turn tried to make a run at me, but I smoked him, so there was no way for him to get to me. He's on top of a building. And as the rest of them desperately tried to kill him, he just kept dodging towards them and eventually ended up in combat. And he actually survived the round. He had one wound left at the end of it because I'd given him I think I got a Vita Pack on top of my Gizmo kit, and he ended up with a Vita Pack, which made him super resilient. And the start of the next turn, I had 2 orders because I was isolated, and I assaulted the remaining Shujay and just chopped his head off, and then I think assaulted somebody else. And was just like, here I die, but I've done my job. And then turn 3 was just kind of mop up. I killed the remaining pieces that I could with the Gator. I almost got the last box, but Jazz failed her whip check on the last group 2 order to go pick it up. And the two and you know what put him on the back foot? Both of his Fidays were fine where they landed, like outside my deployment zone, but he attempted to go deep with Al-Jabel, and he beefed his test, and he ended up revealed in his deployment zone. So Al-Jabel could have really swung that for him, but failing that test at the top of the game, he was just deep in the deployment zone, didn't really do anything. And that was it. Yeah, it was I got 8-0 at the end of the game, 208 to 54. And my overall standing was I came second, which was cool. It was due to keeping it tight in my loss. I managed to beat Super D, Listen, and ISS and Bat, who all got 20 tournament points, and my near tie at round 2 pushed me ahead by 1 point. And I had more objectives too, which was nice. My objective point total was 34, which I think the only guy that got higher than me was Dan. That wasn't Owen who won the tournament. And that takes us to Owen because he took the whole event with some Hassassins Baram. So how's your game list?
Lucky bastard.
Some incoherent list.
He only won 4 games.
That's correct.
The same as me.
And he printed the wrong army list.
Yeah, the disaster of day 1 right off the bat, where I'm like, wait a second, this isn't the list I meant to play, and neither is this, because I printed them off and didn't sync my computer and my phone. And so like we get there, I've just signed in, I've gotten the check mark on my list, there's the initials from the TO, and then I'm opening it up on my phone and I'm like, wait a second, there's 8 orders in that group, that's not right. And then I show these 2 of like, yeah, I screwed up, and these lists are not the ones that I meant to bring to this event. You thought you were
taking your double a seek list, and you didn't actually bring your double a seek
list. One of them had the double a seek, but originally they both did. And so it was one of those like, oh, this is an amazing staple. You should put this in every list because it's only 50 points and they kill everything. Or you just don't do that. Like
the funnier part is I'm hanging out with Owen as we're waiting for Ash to get off the plane. We play a practice game, and then we go over to print off the list, and we talk about, the phone and the computer don't sync properly, so I got to make sure I'm printing off the right lists. And he's like, I still don't know. And then, then he prints off the list after 20 seconds after having the conversation, prints off the wrong lists.
Yep. Then 3 hours, 5 hours, whatever later, and then another day. And then none of those times did I go, I should read what I did. Nah, it'll be fine. Everything will work out.
I mean, to be fair,
everything worked out.
Running out. Yeah, you're trying to pack your wife and Dan into your car, pick me up from the airport, drive. Like, you had some shit on your mind. It wasn't inexcusable by any stretch of the imagination.
No, Ash, he's a dumbass.
Joke's on you.
I think the garbage list he still won with is enough proof that he's not that much of a dumbass.
Yeah. The tier 1 or 2 iteration that list was still a pretty obnoxious thing to play against.
Yeah, it was still a good list.
As all of my opponents, I'm sure, will say that it was cheesy and memes and something. Yeah, so I was playing Hassassins. Both my lists were basically the same plan. I wasn't going to ever attack anyone unless they attacked me first. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to shoot anyone. I had 2 ARs in the one list, which was, again, not the right one, but ARs are pretty cool. So they were as close to the fighty pieces that I get, which they're good. Don't get me wrong, but they ain't no like Cornac with his monkeys that are all immunity armed to attack, MSV, blah, 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 or anything in Steel Phalanx. So I mostly just hid every game. My other list had each list had 2 Sunduck Butts because why not?
And you're playing Assassins and you own 2 Sunduck Butts. You buy 2 Sunduck Butts.
To your point of if you have access to McMurrow, you take McMurrow. I think there's a faction that doesn't need that. They can take McMurrow, and he's
and yet halfway through the tournament, Owen walks up to me and is like, I wish I took McMurrow.
But I wish I took him. The only reason I wished I took him was because it was like, I don't do anything on my turn. And like, I'm going to talk a little bit about my games, but it's like, there's a lot of time in my games where I literally just kind of screwed around for 10 or 15 orders. And then it just kind of worked out because my opponent was dead by then. But yeah, my first game was against another Hassassin player, who I think is the one that
S. Bosco.
Isn't that round 2?
No, S. Bosco. Znork was round 2. That was the guy that I think it wasn't Hassassins round 1.
Oh, I played Hassassins round 1. I know he plays the guy I play round 2, but round 1.
S. Bosco played. I can look at those standings and actually see what army he played. He played
Hassassins.
Oh yeah, he didn't submit his list, so I can't tell anyway. Cool. Okay.
That's okay. I didn't either.
I know. Asshole.
He played Hassassins, and so it was like, oh, this is ostensibly a mirror match. You know what I bring, I know what you bring. High five. Let's see who sneaks up on the other person first. I then learned as we started playing that he had not played in quite a while. Like he had played more of like N3, early N4. And so he was not prepared for just the power creep that has happened in the game.
Yeah.
His list was like, if you took Hassassins from the end of N3, beginning of N4. So he had like 1 Fade,
right,
Muyibs, Govads, 1 Lasik, and some Bereeds. And so it was like, oh, these are all solid models. And then my list was this like overtuned double AR, double Sunduck butt, Bereed hacker thing. And basically he moved forward. The Sunduck butts killed what he moved forward with. Then the ARs revealed and killed everything else. My second round, though, he was playing Morats, and this is the guy that Dan plays, and he got that. So what happened, Dan, was that I took he lost all of his luck against me and saved it for his game against you. Because I diced him into the ground with 1 Sunduck butt the entire game. That whole Link team plus like 3 other guys all got either killed or hard stopped by 1 Sunduck butt with a AP Spitfire, which he was immune to. And it just killed them all, that whole Link. He made a really bad tactical mistake that he didn't get punished with because he just passed all of his saves, where he has that MSV rocket guy. I have a duo of a Lasik up on a rooftop. He smokes in such a way that he blocks the Lasik, but not the camo marker that can see him, because he's not sure if it's a Dailami, which I had, Sunduck butts, which I also had, or a Shuje who was also around in that list. Like there could have been anything nearby, and there was camos everywhere. So he decides he's going to block the sniper, and I don't do anything. And so at that point he goes, okay, he shoots through the smoke. He's a 5-man pure team at the sniper. If I shoot him back, his 6th sense kicks in. But I go, I don't care. I'm just going to shoot him anyway. And we go like, I think a full round of shooting. Like I think I beat him in the first one, but eventually he kills the Lasik. And during this time, I never activate the other camo. It just watches him spend orders killing the Lasik. And then his next order after the Lasik is dead is he's just forgotten that camo can see him. He walks out of his cover forward, and then the Sunduck butt just opens up and starts shooting into that Link team. He makes every save. One guy gets one guy gets downed. He has to fix him, and then he spends the remainder of his turn fighting that 1 Sunduck butt. And then, my turn comes. I crawl forward with my Lieutenant Asawira, kill the QAZ creature, and end my turn. And then it's back to him to run back into the Sunduck butt. And that's basically how that whole game went until he ran out of models. And it was supremacy. It was impossible for him to move forward because he was just getting chewed up. And I would just crawl 1 camo or 1 hidden deploy guy into a zone to score points and then end my turn.
Yeah. And you weren't talking Asawira, you meant AR, right?
No, Asawira.
Yeah,
Asawira Lieutenant. This is the list that had no ARs.
Oh, this is the alternate list that had the 2 Lasiks. Got it.
This one had the Lasiks, but no ARs. The other one has the ARs,
but no
Lasiks.
Got it.
Yeah, but this one gets to have the Asawira Lieutenant, and I like that list only because the Asawira, he links with the 2 Lasiks, so it's like a little Harris for him. But mostly he's there just because he's hard to kill. And in a list where I have like 5 orders, I think, to start, like before people start revealing themselves. And then the rest are irregular. I'm really afraid of getting assassinated. Like, I don't want that to happen. And so I play a really durable lieutenant who just sits. And then occasionally he moves forward with the Lasiques. They do something. And then I go back to just waiting. And then my opponent.
It's your variation of my Mobile Regatta lieutenant, where it's like just super hard to kill him.
Exactly. And I mean, Hassassins are like even worse than the Mobile Regatta.
Horrifying with regeneration and armor 4. Yeah.
Yeah. The BTS 9. It's like, oh, you have a Timbot. Me too. Me too. I am a Timbot.
That's cute. That's right. Yeah.
Now I'm going to beat you to death with this stick that I found.
My double action stick.
Yeah. And so that's my second round. He just couldn't get over the hump that was Sundukbut and Lasiques. And then the mission was such that, like, at one point he finally was like, forget it, I have no choice. And he sends his Rodox to just try and take a zone.
Yeah.
And push a console. And then the Delamis just came out of the woodwork and killed him.
He ran out of guys. He had 34 points left at the end of the game for the 3 that he scored.
Yeah. And I think I had lots live.
You had 254. Almost nothing died.
Yeah. I think the one Sundukbut dies eventually to that Link team, but everybody else just kind of waits. And so that's my first game. My third game is against Kestrel.
Yeah, Super D.
Kestrel is a really obnoxious faction. I know I'm saying I think play Assassins, but like he was in a similar boat where he won the roll off and he was back and forth on whether he wanted deployment, because we had I don't want to say awful table, but
you're playing frontline.
We're playing frontline, so it's move forward and hold zones at the end of the game, which means you want to go second. But the table we're playing on is a gigantic open table with one tower in each deployment, which is to say, from his tower, you can see the whole board. And from my tower, you can see the whole board.
From his black air house, you can see the whole board.
He clearly knew everything that I had. Like, he had either talked to the previous person or not. Because like before deployment, he was like 2 Lasiques, 2 Sundukbuts, 2 Shujays. So, like, he knew every single model that I had, down to which tokens I used to represent which model. Like,
he researched you a little bit.
It was one of those things that I'm like, okay, well, if there's no secrets, then we're just going to shuffle everything together and see what happens. And he decided that he wanted to go first, because if he let me go first, I would be able to just maneuver even more obnoxiously into his side.
You get the range bands against him. Yeah.
And not only that, it would just be, now he has to dig me out of my camo state, but now I'm further onto his board instead of just in the middle-ish of my side. So he goes first, and then he just gets annihilated by that first push. His black air moves up, or not black air, the vehicle, the plane.
Oh yeah, he took the plane. What was the model that he's using? The Red Eye Close Support Squad thing.
I don't remember what the model was. He had some kind of robot though.
It's mid -6, size 7 gun to Spitfire, basically.
Yeah, and it drove forward to fight the Lasique, because it Mim 6 against a guy who has no visor is always pretty good. Shoots the Lasique. Lasique lives. Random Delami Panzerfaust hits him in the ribs and kills him.
just Blackhawk
downs him right off the bat.
Just Blackhawk downs him immediately.
He's like, all right, that's really unlikely, but fine.
Sure.
Fjorbak Hektari guy steps out to shoot, and he shoots the Lasique, and that same Delami shoots and kills that guy too.
I have 2 missiles. I'm going to use both.
He needed like a 6 on both rolls or less. Man. Like, it was like awful odds. And and they were opposed. Like, he shot the Delami too.
He put a bullet on him. Yeah.
Didn't make any difference. And so he's like, all right. Speedballs in, fixes the black air. The Delami's now out of ammo, so he can't kill him again.
He's got a light shotgun.
To shoot.
That's all he's got. Yeah.
Goes to shoot the Lasique, gets crit by the Lasique, and goes back down again.
Oh.
And so his second heavy infantry Griffin, not orc trooper guy, moves up with his other link and fights the assassins and one of the Sundukbuts. He beats the Sundukbut into the ground, but the assassin lives. But he makes a mistake where he's deployed, where on my following turn, the Delami spends his 1 irregular order, walks around a box, and then just Panzerfausts his lieutenant in the back and kills him. And so, like, normally in a game, if you kill 150 points of heavy infantry and vehicles, including their lieutenant, you lose nothing. I didn't lose a single guy. You win, right?
Yeah.
But then it turns out with Kestrel, chain of command kicks in. He still has multiple mine laying heavy rocket linked guys. He's got paramedics still. He still has hidden deploy models. And it's like, oh, okay. Here we go. And we fight it out, and it becomes this brawl over the remaining turns where he's slowly getting like the clamp is slowly coming down where he's running out of models, and I'm slowly removing them. Like, it's taking me my entire turn to kill like one guy, but that's okay because I'm that far ahead until finally there's like a breaking point where the Asawira just gets into the room, dodges like 5 mines, and then kills a whole group of people.
Yeah.
And that's that game wrapped up. And that was the end of my day one.
Sure was.
Undefeated day one.
Day
looking
2.
good.
Yeah,
day 2.
Pretty good.
The fourth guy.
You're ahead of both me and
place,
Dan, feeling cocky because both of us have gotten a loss.
But then there's the fourth member of our little B&B gang,
Amon,
who's playing.
Which we haven't even mentioned. I forgot because he showed up. He didn't drive from the car with us, which we haven't mentioned Amon, but he was staying with us the entire time playing Pano.
Yeah, he's
coming from like 12 hours in the other direction.
Yeah, he's playing Pano. He's staying with us. He's undefeated going into this day. And the first person he gets to play against is me. And now he knows as well as anyone else could possibly know what is going to happen. And he's got Maximus and an Aquila guard. And then
he had you shaking too. We spent most of the night on day one talking about like, oh Christ.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose. I don't know how to win this.
Yeah. You have Maximus. Like, I don't know how I beat Maximus.
I don't have any weapons. And it's funny because like we had talked about it even early in the event about how I'm pretty sure I don't know how you kill Maximus reliably in the game. Like, never mind my list, just in general.
People generally don't like him at all. Like, they were like, oh, you just write him off. And I'm like, it seems good. I don't know. Anyways.
Immunity arm on an arm 6 guy with 3-4 wounds is pretty
and
good.
Immunity possession, so a bunch of the tag shit just doesn't work on him, right?
And he's CC capable, so a bunch of the melee stuff you'd normally do. Like, the fact that he like 50-50 Shinobi is pretty wild.
Well, an immunity arm makes him immune to like mono, explosive, like all those CC guys that go into him. They just have regular close combat weapons.
Yep, he is a pretty monstrous dude. And so as is tradition, I lose the lieutenant role, and he gets to go first. This is on the kill the HVTs mission, unmasking. And he pushes forward first with the Aquila guard, just killing all of my people because the board we're playing on is the same one that Dan like crawled across and won against the Morats. But it's basically there's one big tall building on the right and 2 big buildings on the left connected by a bridge. And so on the left on the bridge is the Aquila guard, on the right on the big building is Maximus. And they are shooting down, killing every one of my guys who is not prone, hiding underneath boxes. The end of my first turn, one of my hidden ARs reveals as he goes into suppressive fire with his Aquila guard and just hits him with a zapper, and Immobilize isolates him.
Ooh, nice.
My following first orders, I spend 5 orders, which is all the orders I have, shooting. I reveal an AR who shoots Maximus with a surprise attack -6 bad range emitter, and he just makes all his saves. And I'm like, that's fine. And then I go back into Hollow Echo. I walk out and shoot him again. He fails 1 save, but he's got a switch on, so he's still not isolated, immobilized. And then I do it one last time because I only have the orders left to do another surprise shot against him. And I finally immobilize, isolate him. But he's standing on a building in the middle of the board, able to see basically everything. And if he rolls a 1, he will come back. Yeah. And so I spend the remainder of the game pretty much shooting spec fire grenades from my Gulam at random shit on the board, needing like 4s and 5s depending on whatever.
Praying no one comes to find you.
And and
I just pop it up the head.
I think I killed 1 guy with those grenades over the course of the like 20 orders I spent that game. But he never came out of immobilized, isolated.
Nope.
And he made his big run with his, I think it was a Zulu Cobra or something equivalent to it, who pushes the button, runs out. All of my HVTs are just in a clump in the corner, surrounded by Sunduck butts.
There's nowhere to go again. Yeah.
So he knows where they are.
Button, but like, you cannot get over there.
Yeah. I'm like, I know I can't stop you from pushing buttons, so I'm just going to kill you before you make it.
Yeah.
Failed to kill him before he make it. He shoots my HV2, who just passes the dodge and just beats him, and then he gets annihilated by Sunduck butts. And then I have my one AR who had been waiting the entire game and walks up, pushes a button. The Fide that was also in that list just kills the HVT, and I get more HVT kills.
Yeah, so you get 2-7, and it's he has 134. You have 269 left because you made him spend all of his lives.
And his stuff was his biggest stuff was mostly alive,
just immobilized. Yeah,
76-point Maximus is just standing there looking at us, the whole game,
screaming, imprisoned in his armor.
Yeah,
I did. That's the same thing I did to Ajax when I played against Steel Phalanx in that same game. I did it to Eudoros as well. They walked through my hacker net, and they both got immobilized and isolated by Jazz.
So at this point, I'm undefeated, no losses, final round, and I'm going to play against Brennan and his Steel Phalanx.
Steel Phalanx, listen, yeah,
and he just beats the shit out of me the entire game. Basically, everything I try and do, every plan, every attack, every face-to-face roll with, like, at the very beginning, the one thing that like really went in my favor is he was trying to Trinity Layla, and I didn't die.
Yeah,
I didn't kill him, but I didn't die. I made, like, at one point I just made 3 saves, and that was great.
He had Agamemnon, he had Atalanta, he had Phoenix, he had Eudoros, I think. Who else did he have?
No, he doesn't have Eudoros. He has the hacker girl, one of the new ones, the like replacement to Pandora.
Yeah.
She's running in a link with a Myrmidon officer, Ajax, and Phoenix.
Right.
And then he's got Atalanta, hidden deploy version. And then he's got Agamemnon, and then a bunch of like chaff order monkeys. And that 4-man team of Phoenix and friends, they just went kind of unstoppable. Like, they just would beat the Sunduck Butts to death because the Sunduck Butts can't really fight that.
Yeah, he had Silo. He had Silo, didn't he, with Trinity SR-2?
I don't think that's who it was.
She got ECM Hacker -3 and Trinity SR-2. I think that's who he'd have for 25 points if he had a girl hacker.
Might have been a proxy too. I don't know.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I thought it was somebody new, but I might just be misremembering. I mean, his list is out there. There's a fella, Robert something, the Australian guy.
Yeah. Rob Shepard.
He did a video actually because they asked about
breaking it down. Yeah,
breaking it down. No, I think it was Themiris.
Oh, Themiris, the Aeotis,
the new one.
There's no killer hacker. Oh no, I've got upgrade Trinity, upgrade Cyberbask. Yeah,
so she's
a
really
hacking
cool.
device that's almost a plus. Yeah.
She's really cool in my opinion because she also has no wounding cap, and it's just 21 points. Mine plus pitcher plus link.
Yeah, she's a couple points cheaper than Silo. Silo doesn't have no wounding cap, but has the -3 hacking.
But a regular hacking device is also really cool.
For sure.
Which the other one might, but
she does. Anyway. She's a hacking device and Trinity upgrade.
Sweet. But yeah, that 4-man team just dismantles my Sunduck Butts. I try and fight him with my AR, and he just beats the AR, and the AR has to just run off because I can't fight Ajax and them straight up.
Yep.
And he's slowly like whittling me down. He finally gets one of the boxes, and this whole time on the left side of the board in this like tight alleyway of the city board we're playing on, his link team has been moving back and forth, and he doesn't know that there's an AR right in the middle of that link, hidden deployed. And the entire game I'm sitting there like, do I reveal on the ARO and shoot him, or do I wait? Do I reveal or do I wait? Do I reveal or do I wait? And on my second to last turn, I finally decide to reveal, and that AR just kills that whole link team minus the Myrmidon officer, where he just pops out. He shoots Themiris with double viral pistols with the extra burst because he's the AP rifle variant. In that shot, he also kills a war core who ran off with a supply box. Then Ajax dodges and is facing right at the AR, who just like zips along the back of a board and zappers the Ajax and isolates him. He comes around on Phoenix and then dodges into line of sight and triangulate fire, kills Phoenix. He just dismantles them. And didn't do me any good, though.
Not enough, because he still had 247 points at the end of the game, and you go into round 3 with only 100 remaining.
Yep. So that AR then makes his push to try and get the box, but I run out of orders there. And my middle AR tries to triangulate fire, fight Atalanta, but gets crit flash pulsed by a random flash pulse bot and blinded. And then I try and jump Atalanta with a Ghazi, and he just makes his saves and kills the Ghazi. I try and hit her with a Specfire grenade, and he makes the save again, even though I actually hit him that time. And then the next turn, Agamemnon turns on, and he kills both of the ARs, who are my last specialists that are
that continuous
in the front.
damage. That continuous damage HMG is horrifying.
But
it got such a glow up.
Even better when I'm blind and unable to get to cover and can't fight back.
Awesome.
He just chews them all to bits,
bullying you to fucking into the ground.
So Agamemnon's holding an objective box, and because he picked the one up off of the dead war corp from the
so
other
hold more.
And yeah, so I go into my final turn. I basically just have one wounded Sunduck butt, and I have my core link. Minus Layla. It's like 4 guys. Actually, Layla might have been alive. Yeah, no, he didn't fight her because someone else was alive or something like that. Anyway, more of the story is I don't have very many orders. And Atalanta, Agamemnon, 2 flashball spots or 1 flashball spot, and a guy with a Panzerfaust, and then another K1 guy are all watching the remaining objective boxes. And my solution, because I can't fight them and I can't smoke it, is to shoot a series of pictures using my
2
Bereeds and laid them out in a little line from a wall to the objective box. And then the Bereed crawled on the ground behind the pictures because they're size 1, opens the box and makes it a tie game.
Yeah, Kobayashi reprogrammed the simulation. Kobayashi marooned it.
Did you have one chance to get a classified as well?
There was one last order where the Sunduck butt had to walk forward and pass a whip 15, and he just failed. If he had gotten that, I would have actually won.
Yeah, he would have won.
No, it wasn't net undermine. It was the one where you had to have a heavy infantry near an enemy model.
Secure. It's like secure or something like that. Yeah, and if you're in line of sight and zone of control.
Yeah, so he just walked right in front of like all of the guns and was like, I got one order. This is my last shot. Fails the whip check on an 18.
It's funny if you can see it. It's on an 18. Yeah, I was just gonna say because if you can see it, he would have been whip 18.
No, he needed a 15. He's only whip 12 actually.
Oh, right. He's cowardly. He's a robot.
But yeah, he just flubs the roll and then dies horrendously. But a tie was all I needed.
Because you had enough points from before that you won overall. So that pushed Brennan down into, I think it was 4th. And it ended up being you in first with 22 tournament points, 37 objective points, me in second with 21 and 34. Super D, which was whatchamacallit, was
the Kestrel player.
The Kestrel player with 20 and 33. Listen, which is Brennan with 20 and 32. Matt with 20 and 30, and then Dan with 19 and 35. And that was the top 6. Crumple Crafty, Heisey, Clever Handle, and Cry of the Wind came in the top 10. And that was our event, man. I thought it was pretty great event. I got to say a big thank you to Matt. It was his last year running it. Matt Chaffee is his last name. I'm getting that right.
So
yeah, and super nice dudes. He'll hopefully be back next year playing. They've formed a council of 6, sort of like, I guess, like personalities in the Edmonton community to keep it going, and kind of share the load as opposed to just the 2 original players who were running the whole thing beforehand. And it was super well run. Everybody had a great time. I specifically had like 5 great games. All my opponents were fantastic. And even like at the end, like kind of like to echo what Dan said, like I wasn't the usual exhausted and never wanting to look at Infinity again. And in fact, our car ride home was just us trying to decide what we were going to do next year, which I thought was really good. And that's a hallmark of like a great event, I think, right? Where like you don't hate the game that you've been playing for the last 72 hours almost.
It's nice having a game like that. Unlike some games, you know,
where you're having a dehydration headache. And it was miserable cold too. There's a great photo of the whole gang that you can see on the TAC-Aware Facebook page and other places too, where we're all outside, and it snowed like the entire time. It was a real Edmonton winter while we were up there. And even with that, it was a fantastic weekend.
Yeah, it was great surprise support, pretty good tables. Again, it's hard. It's tournament tables. A lot of them are just going to be open. And it's just
my thing, Dan, is I think that we ended up playing paired on more weird tables. I think because we were in the higher divisions. But I played 4 games on shoeboxes. Sorry, 3 games on shoeboxes and 2 games on weird tables. Does that make sense? Like, I would say at least 75% of the tables were shoebox tables, where it's like the cardstock terrain or it's Banduit terrain, or you know what I mean? Like there wasn't that many weird tables, and the weird tables were memorable every time I played on them.
Yeah,
it's good to mix it up.
I mean, it's the same thing as always. Like for anyone who is the kind of person who's like knows about Infinity events and stuff like that, and you haven't played at them, one of the things to just kind of accept is that when you go to these tournaments, the table will either be not as dense as you want it to be, or it will be way too dense. Whatever it is that you didn't play normally is what that table will be like, and so just anticipate it. Expect
and play on
there to be
different kinds
giant-
of tables. Yeah, it's good to it's just good practice to play on all kinds of different tables, and that way you stop kind of worrying about the table over time. You just accept that it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, and then like you can even get craftier about it, where you can build lists around that concept. Like this is my long range table list, and this is my short range table list, and then you don't have to worry about what the mission is. Just do the bare minimum to be able to make the 2 missions.
But if you're really going to win the tournament, don't know what list you're going to play until the morning of.
Just roll better.
And if you want to come second,
oh my God.
if you want to come second, just play the same list every game that you didn't think about bringing to the tournament because it fit under your seat in the airplane.
And also, Dan was there.
And I was there too. If you want to get third, ask another guy. I don't know.
Yeah. And if you want to get third, don't be Dan.
Yeah,
play better. Play better. Make those whip checks and get that last point.
Just get the point.
So we did talk, and we'll wrap this up with a last little conversation. We did talk about next year doing like a theme, because now that we've kind of done what we've done, it feels like doing a theme would be fun as opposed to just taking like overthinking it and doing something crazy instead. And we were thinking about doing an army that no one really played. I didn't see many combined armies. We played Morats.
Yeah, there's like 3, maybe 4 Morat players.
Yeah, but we didn't see any Onyx armies, I don't think. I'm just looking down the list and trying to see if there's an Onyx symbol next to anything. Onyx. There's one.
Nobody plays Onyx.
Yeah, there's no Onyx. There's one combined army. I didn't see any Onyx. But like thinking about and we don't have to decide right now, but we were talking about doing like a weird theme and all taking like a variation of the same army and trying to do a thing where we brought the same army, but we all brought vastly different types of lists. And I know that Owen and I were noodling on Onyx armies. You were doing a tag army, and I was doing an all, what are they called? The Evil Toha. They're not the Fracta. They have a name that's like that.
The Fracta and the McCreeps, whatever they're called.
Whatever that Evil Toha army is. I want to take them because I think they're sleeper good. Like that Fracta 2 wound drop troop that's 19 points to the boarding shotgun and adhesive rifle. I love that thing. Super jumping, insane parachutist.
And then I was confused about everything because I don't know anything about combined armies.
And you don't have to. But we all love the bugs. Owen was trying to make the bug list, the void operators and the extra stuff work. So that was very funny.
Upon asking Owen, hey, what do you think is harder, to do a full non-lethal army with goo guns or to play the extras? He's like, it's obviously harder to play the extras. They're terrible.
The guys who just immediately die.
At least with the non-lethal, like you can make the deal of like, all right, I'm going to play this list, and there are a bunch of models that are really solid and have non-lethal guns. So like bronzes and Parvatis, well, maybe not Parvati, but like stuff like that. And you can have good chances of doing stuff. The bugs are armor 2 -1 wound guys. Like,
and they're not cheap either. The extra rule should make them half the cost. Like they're so expensive for what they do.
You can't even Vita pack them.
I know.
They
go
just
right to dead.
They go right to dead.
Like their guts fall out as soon as you break through the little shell.
It should have been mandatory dogged. I stick by it.
I think that would be a better rule. Yeah,
if you just change extra
mandatory dotted,
and you just do it like they must go dogged in the event that they take a wound, and it keeps them still like they still die, but now it's like it's that moment when the ant like swings in all directions kind of thing. Yeah. Like before I die, I'm gonna curl up and bite you.
Yeah, I'm here for that. I like that too.
Something for him, because Jesus, like Samsa's in the same boat. Like it's like they messed up and just accidentally added points for extra instead of taking them away. Yeah. Like the only thing I can think of that is okay is like I played a game the other day where somebody scored a point on a dead guy of mine, and I'm like, oh, if you were a bug, There'd be no bodies left.
You could never forward observe my body.
Yeah.
There was another, I think we also kicked around, because you said the non-lethal thing, we did kick around the idea of doing, oh no, it's the cops, and all playing like O12 or something like that, and having different variations of the O12 list. Just trying to do an army where there's a lot of ways to play it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's either all playing the same sectorial or like choosing, and like, because there's mostly 3
faction
sectorials,
and doing
so
a
it's
different
like
sectorial. Yeah,
each sectorial, one sectorial each. It could be fun. We got lots of time.
We have lots of time, yeah. But it'd be neat.
Comment in the Discord, and then we'll ignore your suggestion.
But if someone comes with like a really creative challenge mode for us to do, we're talking about doing like the Halo where you start adding skulls, right? With the challenge skulls or whatever. Like what could be a fun challenge for us to do that we can start prepping for now? That's like stuff that we just didn't see. Like we didn't see a lot of Yu Ching. We talked about Yu Ching because we didn't see a lot of Yu Ching. We talked about O12 because we didn't see a ton of O12.
There's Edmonton's doing a slow grow, and one of their challenge modes to get bonus points in their slow grow is you can't have a weapon that has a positive range band past 16.
Ooh, like brawler guns? I'd be up for that.
So you can only use weapons in your list they can be neutral beyond that point.
Oh, and I'm pretty sure
my list was almost that already.
I was going to say you almost played that this year anyway.
Yeah. With like one exception of a sub gun, I was like, wait a second, I am already playing like that.
This feels like it's no challenge at all. No challenge at all. No challenge at all. All right.
But I list that as here's a thing that exists out there that is a fun little idea.
Yeah, I think that'd be neat to do too. So big thanks to all the organizers at Colder Than Carbonite. Everybody who helped out with tables and terrain, CB, of course, for the tap and the patches and all the cool stuff. And for you guys for making it a great weekend, for having me down, and we'll make it our yearly tradition. Thanks to you guys for listening, and we'll be back with more tactical awareness. We round off the Ariadna chapter, and we'll be back with more Zeros to Heroes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.